Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. This is Steven. We are back in the Airstream today. We are going to be installing an IRVWPC. What the heck is that? That is an intelligent RV water pump controller. All of that coming up right now. So to show you the before, we're going to come over here, make sure our pump is on and that we have fresh water, 29%. We'll come over here to the faucet and we'll just do a standard low flow. That's pretty good, medium flow. And you can just hear that kicking on and off and on. And you can hear the rattle that comes from this area where the water pump is, which is right down here. You hear that? We're gonna solve that with the variable water pump controller. So stick with me and we should have a solution to this surging problem. So what's in the box? In the box you have a very detailed installation manual. This thing actually has a lot of different protections and options, pump safeguards and fault codes. Zoom in there so you can kind of get an idea. I'm going to keep the defaults for right now, just focusing on fixing the water pulsing and the banging of the pump back and forth as it turns off and on. This is the sensor. This goes in line at the output of the pump. And then you have a pretty good selection of different pipe options here. And, you know, it just all depends on how your water pump is installed in your RV. You know, so they give you different ways to hook it up if you know space requirements are tight or anything like that. So some other options, and then also this hose to that way you're not trying to stretch a connection on. You can hopefully with all these parts find a combination that will work well for you. There's also some Wago connectors in here, a fuse, looks like a screwdriver to adjust some of the dip switches on that guy, and that seems to be all we'll need. So next we'll take a look at the area where the pump is. So with this installation, we're going to be working with both the electrical system and the plumbing system. For the electrical, before you do any installation work, you want to make sure that you have your pump turned off. You can do that via the pump switch there, or you can do that in your main breaker panel. Mine happens to be down there, but we will be using the pump switch. And also on the plumbing side, make sure that you have all of the water pressure purged from the system. You can do that once your pump is off by opening the faucet, making sure that there's no pressure left there, and you should be all set to go. So I quickly panned over to it at the start, but on the 27-foot Globetrotter, the pump is installed in this lower cabinet below the wardrobe area. And they didn't install a light for me. Darn them. And so both of these, it's nice both of these panels are actually on hinges and open up so you can kind of get in there. And I'm pretty darn lucky with this setup because we have the pump right here and we have the output right here. So I will unscrew this, put that sensor in, screw it back in. I don't think I'll need any of those adapters or anything like that, just the sensor. And then the wire connections that appear to be right here. So we've got RV white is ground, that goes to black on the pump, and then RV pink with white stripe is positive 12 volt, and then that goes to the 12 volt on the pump. So we'll just make those connections, pop that sensor in there, purge the water through, and we'll see what we get. So we're going to try to do this one-handed while I hold on to the camera, but I went ahead and grabbed a towel because you know there's going to be some water that's going to get out of there. And I didn't list a bunch of tools in the start because this looks like it's just an easy valve to remove. And then the wires that came on the pump were pre-stripped, and then the Airstream actually already has Wago connectors on here down there. So really, I don't think it's going to require a lot of tools, but we'll jump in here and see. So let's open this up, and I'm sure we'll get some water out. I really don't like messing with the plumbing. I'm much more comfortable with electronics, but the plumbing stuff, it's like, just makes me a little nervous, like you're always going to get a leak somewhere. But luckily this is hopefully the only connection we'll need to open up here. And this is a flexible tube, so my hope is I can just put the sensor right here and hook this right back up. All right, not too bad. That's open. Okay, with the output from the pump disconnected, I'm going to install to use just this one component. This is the sensor, and this is sort of the pass-through for the sensor. And if I'm lucky, I'll be able to come down here and just... Oh, one other thing about this before I put it on there. There's washers in here, and the company actually put some pretty good install videos out there, and one of the things that they mention is you want to make sure you have 2 rubber washers in this. Otherwise then when you screw this onto the pump, it'll bottom out before it actually makes a tight seal. So they give you 2 washers. So just kind of peek in there. I don't think the camera's going to be able to pick it up, but verify that there are indeed two rubber washers in there. And, you know, we're having focus challenges, it appears, but we'll keep at it. So let's see if this works here. As simply as I'm hoping. We want to make sure we don't cross thread anything. Doesn't say to use any form of sealant tape. It's really the washer that makes that seal. We'll probably fast forward from this point. So I had to cut there because I couldn't align this with just one hand, but this screwed on, no problem. Per the instructions, you want to make sure that the sensor is pointed upwards. I believe it says acceptable from the 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock position, and that is the case because if you winterize, you want the water to flow down and not freeze up in this sensor. So by having it pointed up, gravity takes the water down. You can blow that out with air, use antifreeze or whatever your method is, but you have the best results with this pointed up. And it was an extra maybe quarter turn once you felt it seat, extra quarter turn pointed up. And then this, I just had to use 2 hands to kind of align it since it's pointed slightly different angle. But that went on without any problems. It's not too tight. So we will move forward with electrical connections next. And I'll probably have to make those and cut the feed. But pretty simple. Like I said earlier, white is RV ground, black is pump ground, pink white is RV 12 volt, red is pump 12 volt. So we'll make those connections and come right back. Okay, so got the electrical hooked up. Very, very simple. Red to red, black to black, those both go to the pump. Incoming from the RV, we've got ground, white to white, and then 12 volt from the RV is this pink wire with a white stripe, and that's yellow wire on the IRVWPC. I decided to go ahead and mount it up here. I just used command strips, the Velcro ones, so if I need to take that down, it just Velcros up there. And we have the sensor. Let's see if I can get to it. There we go, installed right there. And you'll notice that we do not yet have the connector plugged in. So on the manual it says hook everything up, turn your pump on, let it run full, get the air out. Once the air is out, then plug in the sensor. So we will go ahead and do that. But everything installed pretty clean. You want to have this box up off. You don't want to leave it laying down here where it can get wet. You want to make sure it's up high, so it's tucked right up there nicely with command strips. And if you know anything about me and you've watched my other videos, you will know that I like to use command strips for these lightweight electronic boxes, such as when I did the thermostat, the Wi-Fi thermostat. That's also up there. Command strips been up there for a year, no problems. That way you're not, like for example with the thermostat, if I ever needed to remove it, I'm not dealing with holes in the wall. Just take it right off and put the old one back. Not so important here, but it's just easier to honestly to hook those up. Okay, so we will go ahead and turn the water back on and test it out. Alright, let's make sure we still have fresh water in there. We're still at 29%. We're going to turn the pump on, and the first thing I'm going to do is run over there and check for leaks. and make sure that we do not have water leaking. The pump turned off immediately. That's good, but let's check to see. Sorry, a little bouncing around the camera a little bit. That all feels dry, and that's the only one luckily, I didn't have to use any of those adapter parts. That's the only one I was able to get in there. The mod gods were kind to me today. This was super easy access. Okay. So let's go get the air out. So right now it's running as if the box was not even installed. You can see it's still doing the pulse because that sensor is not hooked up. But I think we don't have a ton of air in here. Okay, I will hook the sensor up and let's see what difference it makes. Okay, sensor went right in. It only goes in there one way and there's a little latch. It pops right on there. Let's go see what difference we have. It should be a lot quieter, less banging of the... Yeah. It's very nice. Much smoother flow at low. Look at that. What a difference. It's almost like being on residential. Very cool. Well, we can call this a success. I'll double check for leaks in a little bit and make sure that we're all good. You know, one of the reasons, most of the places we go, we hook up to water. But we had a challenge at one of the last places we went with our hot water tank, and that we had low pressure, and the pressure was so low that the hot water heater, the instant hot water heater, was overflowing, or not overflowing, but overheating, because the pressure wasn't pushing water through the hot water heater fast enough. So what this allows you to do is still hook up to the city water, and you can fill your tank, and it will supplement the water pressure with using water from the tank. And that was one of those, when it's supplementing and you know you're not fully open, you were getting a lot of the banging. But that's going to work so much better for just supplementing pressure. And then obviously if you're boondocking, it's great. And it's also supposed to be more efficient. I'm not going to put a meter on it, but just the smoothness of the water makes this totally worth it. So if you like this content, I've got more stuff on the Airstream and RVs in general, and small little upgrades like this that can make your camping experience much more enjoyable. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.